There is a silence so vast it cannot be heard, yet within it all things move. This silence is not the absence of sound, but the absence of resistance. And when the mind becomes still, not forced, not controlled, but naturally at rest, the entire universe seems to soften. Lao Tzu's words are not poetic metaphor, but lived reality. To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders. It is not that the universe suddenly changes, but that the veil through which we see it dissolves. A mind in turmoil fractures reality. It sees the world as conflict, as competition, as noise. But this is not the world's nature. It is the echo of our inner agitation. When the storm within quiets, even the most chaotic moment begins to feel like part of a deeper order. A falling leaf becomes a revelation. A passing stranger carries a message. The present moment is no longer just a passage, but a temple. This stillness does not come from effort. You cannot force a lake to be calm. You simply stop throwing stones into it. And so it is with your mind. You do not silence it by control, but by understanding, by seeing clearly the root of thought, its hunger, its fear, its constant becoming, and allowing it to rest, not suppressing it, but letting it settle like dust in a sunbeam. In that stillness, perception expands. You begin to feel that the universe is not something outside of you. It is not a vast force to be feared or conquered. It is your reflection, and in silence you remember this. There is a grace that arrives only when we stop trying to improve the moment, when we no longer demand that life be other than it is. That grace flows like water, and in the quiet mind it finds its path. So we are invited not to chase peace, but to stop running, not to find the silence, but to cease fueling the noise. The still mind is not a destination. It is our original state, before memory, before name, before desire. Let this be the beginning, a breath, a pause, a return to what never left.
There is a profound shift that occurs not through effort, but through release. When the inner noise fades, reality no longer appears fragmented. The trees no longer seem separate from the sky, nor the breath from the wind. You begin to perceive with the whole of your being, not just with your mind. This is not mysticism in the sense of belief, but direct experience. To truly see, the mind must become still, not frozen, but clear, like a mirror that reflects everything without clinging to any image. When you stop labeling every moment, when you stop narrating every step of your life, something beautiful happens. The world becomes new again. You no longer see a bird and think, "Oh, just another bird." You see movement. You feel flight. You witness freedom. And for a moment, you are that flight, that wind, that sky. But in our usual state, we overlay everything with thought. We project, we judge, We compare each moment to a desired outcome, and in doing so, we lose the sacredness of what is. Stillness is not about escaping the world. It's about entering it more fully with open eyes. It's not a retreat from life, but the doorway into life as it is, not as we imagine it should be. A still mind is not concerned with fixing the world, because it understands that the world does not need fixing, only deeper seeing. When your thoughts slow down, you don't lose intelligence, you gain clarity. You stop acting from fear and start moving from presence. This is the surrender Lao Tzu speaks of, not a surrender to something outside, but the surrender of the struggle itself. The universe is not a battlefield. It becomes one only when we are at war within. But the moment the inner war ends, even briefly, you begin to notice how life, like a current, was always carrying you, never against you, only with you. To the still mind, nothing is lacking. To the quiet heart, nothing is missing. And so the universe, in all its mystery, beauty, and terror, bows not in submission, but in unity. You no longer feel separate from it. You feel as though it was waiting for you to arrive all along, not in effort, but in rest.
Stillness is not inactivity. It is not apathy, nor numbness, nor withdrawal. True stillness is the presence that allows all things to arise and pass without clinging. It is awareness without resistance. It is being, unburdened by becoming. You may walk, talk, work, and move through the world, and yet remain completely still inside. Like the calm center of a storm, the still mind sees everything, but is disturbed by nothing. This inner quiet is not dull, it is radiant. It makes the simplest things luminous. A falling leaf, a sip of water, a stranger's smile. Each becomes a revelation. Why? Because you are no longer reaching for the next moment. You are no longer filtering reality through the lens of what it should be. You are finally seeing what is, without distortion. The mind that is always calculating, comparing, planning, is never fully here. It lives in a projection, a possibility, a fantasy, but not in reality. But when that mind becomes still, when you stop trying to control, define, or defend every part of your life, a great relaxation occurs. You no longer try to force the world to match your ideas. You let the world be what it is, and in that surrender, you begin to understand its language. You realize that the universe is not something outside to be conquered, but something within to be harmonized with. You begin to notice the subtle synchronicities, how things come and go in their own rhythm, how life flows not in straight lines, but in spirals, in waves, in breaths. And you begin to trust, not as a belief, but as a knowing. You trust the silence. You trust the unfolding. You trust yourself, not the identity shaped by fear, but the awareness that sees through it. In that trust, fear loosens its grip. You're no longer chasing security. You are security. Because you are not something temporary. You are the open space through which all experience comes and goes. The more still you are, the more the universe speaks to you in subtle ways, through symbols, sensations, and silence. It doesn't scream, it whispers, and only the still can hear it.
The still mind does not dominate the world. It doesn't need to. Its power lies not in force, but in receptivity, not in control, but in clarity. When you are quiet within, you no longer push the river, you flow with it. Life is no longer a battlefield of desires and fears. It becomes a dance, a movement that arises from the silence of your being. In stillness, perception sharpens. You hear what was once drowned in mental noise. You see what was hidden by distraction. And what you begin to see is extraordinary, that life was never the problem, only the way you were relating to it. You were struggling because you were resisting. You were exhausted because you were constantly thinking. And when all that ceases, when the mind stops trying to fix, chase, or escape, a quiet joy arises, a joy that asks for nothing and fears no ending. This joy has no opposite. It is not pleasure, it is peace. Stillness is not the absence of life, it is the essence of life revealed. And that's why Lao Tzu says the universe surrenders, not to your ego, not to your effort, but to your openness. The winds change, people come and go, events unfold beyond prediction, but none of it disturbs the still mind. Because the still mind is not trying to possess anything. It doesn't cling, it doesn't name. It simply rests in what is, and in doing so, it becomes one with all. This is not a mystical escape. It is the most grounded way of being. To live fully, but without fear. To engage deeply, but without entanglement. To love freely, without demand. And so the invitation is simple. Sit quietly. Let the water settle. Let the dust fall. Let the storm pass. And you will see what was always here beneath the noise, the unshakable presence, the undisturbed awareness, the deep river of being that never needed fixing. You are not here to conquer the world. You are here to remember that you already belong to it. You are not separate from this great unfolding. You are its witness, its heart, its silence. And in this silence, the whole universe opens its arms to you, not as a stranger, but as itself.